One quarterfinal day down, one more to go before we have our final four on both the men's and women's side. And to kick things off here on quarterfinal Sunday, we have Northern State taking on Augustana, the North 3 seed, the Wolves, against the South 2 seed, the Vikings, here inside the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Alongside Brad Newitt, Jody Norstead with you. Glad to have you along for the ride on Midco Sports and streaming on Midco Sports Plus. Two teams plenty familiar with one another. They met in the NSIC tournament a year ago. Northern State taking a 5-game win streak into this matchup. Augustana coming in, obviously playing it as a motivated bunch. Dave Krauth, his 34th season, but this is his final games coaching this Vikings team.
Yeah, he's had a remarkable career, but I tell you, when you look at these two teams, there's a lot of contrasting styles. Augustana would love to probably have a lot more of an up-tempo, higher scoring game. Northern State wants to slow it down, maybe be a little more physical. And in the first matchup, Northern State got it their way, and as a result did win the matchup they had in the regular season. Yeah,
62-60, a late game winner by Rihanna Philippi. Let's take a look at our players to watch in this one, brought to you by Vance Thompson Vision. Lori Rogers, boy, she can do it all, averaging 11 points and 7 boards a game. Also, 67 blocks in the season. That ranks second in the country. She is a force in the post.
She is a force inside. Great low post score offensively, but probably impacts the game more, like you said, defensively. Blocking shots, altering them. She is first in the NSIC when it comes to blocks per game.
For Augustana, your player to watch from Vance Thompson Vision is the top rebounder, top scorer, the team's leader in three-pointers made. Michaela Jewett, not the top scorer on the team. That goes to Aislinn Duffy, but boy, Michaela Jewett has been really good as of late. Had a really good weekend last weekend.
Yeah, she was the player of the year in the South Division, player of the week in the South Division last week because she is shooting it so well from the three-point line. Averaged 17 points in her last 2 games, and I think Augustina's really going to need her to play well because it's going to be tough for them to get points in the paint in this game. They need Jewett to really heat up from the three-point line.
Take a look at our tail of the tape. Augustana, obviously the more explosive team offensively, as those numbers indicate, but Northern has been their kryptonite the last 2 meetings, holding them in the 60s.
Yeah, that's really the key, is what can the pace of this game become? Augustana needs to get the pace up. They need that scoring to be in the 70s. If they do get it there, I really like their chances of winning. And on the flip side, Northern State's going to limit possessions and really want to protect the paint, force Augustana to have to take a lot of jump shots in this game.
Should be a fun matchup right off the bat here on quarterfinal Sunday. A spot in tomorrow's semifinals against Minnesota Duluth up for grabs. Who wants it more? We'll find out next on your home for the NSIC basketball tournament, Midco Sports.
I was made for this. I was made for this.
The work, the sweat, the hours. It all comes down to this.
Some people, I was made for this. I was made for this.
And in this moment, all that matters is now.
Bat with the steal right away, puts it in, plus the foul. In transition, driving in, rejected by Tori Warts. Simonette, look at that bounce to Olsen. Warts got it to go! Olsen, the Euro, and the finish.
It's the next round of the NSIC tournament. It starts here. It starts now.
Looking live inside the Sanford Pentagon here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Quarterfinal round of the NSIC women's basketball tournament. We lead off our coverage today with Augustana and Northern State. Brad Newitt, Jody Norstead with you, and now our pleasure to be joined by the third member of our broadcast team, Darren Wallace. Darren?
Hey guys, like you mentioned at the top of the show, Augustana head coach Dave Krauth in his 34th and final season, as he'll be retiring after this season ends. Now there could be a little bit of extra motivation for his team today as they try to send him off into the sunset on a high note, but it should be noted that since the NSIC tournament has been moved inside the Pentagon, they have never reached the final. On the other side, Northern State, this is a rematch for them of last year's first round matchup in the NSIC, where they took down the Vikings, and earlier this season they took down the Vikings in a 62-60 win. They'll be looking to continue their hot play. They've won 9 of their last 12 games, guys.
Yeah, Paula Kruger's team really doing a nice job of finishing this season. They started 6-1 in November, then they were 1-4 in December, 5-5 in January, now 6-1 in February coming in to this tournament. Let's take a look at our starting lineups, brought to you by Dakota Bank. For Northern State, Rihanna Philippi, as we saw in the pregame show, had the game winner in the meeting of the regular season. They go with Jordan Hilgeman, Elena Beneke, Kaylee Oliverson, obviously a phenomenal player, leading scorer on this team, and Lori Rogers, the force inside, the blocking machine. She'll be tough to deal with for the Augustana interior offensive players.
Yeah, this is a really good defensive team for Northern State. They only give up 60 points a game, and it's because they have great size in their interior.
Introducing the Augustana starters. Again, brought to you by Dakota Bank. Just a veteran group, whether it's Lauren Cease, Aislinn Duffy, the player of the year in the North Division, Jennifer Odlin, Michaela Jewett, and CJ Adamson. But this team is going to rely on its two go-to players, and Duffy and Cease have been phenomenal. Of course, Jewett as well, you can probably throw in that conversation too.
Yeah, I think especially here of late, Jewett's really come along offensively for this team. And when you got three players like that that can really score the basketball, it becomes very difficult to stop this Augustana offense. Second best scoring offense in the NSIC at 76 points a game.
They are first, or second in field goal percentage, first in three-point percentage, defending the three against Northern State, a team that really likes to get it in the interior. They kind of work that way, so it's Northern State isn't good. I mean, they have the fewest three-pointers attempted in the division. And talking with Paula Kruger, she's like, it's not like we intentionally do that. It's just sometimes it works that way. And there is the head coach of the Northern State Wolves. Paula Kruger on the left, head coach Dave Kraut. Yeah, that's not a typo. 694 wins in his career against 300 losses. And again, as Darren mentioned, his final season as the head coach. As we get set for the opening tip. It'll be Oliverson versus Odlin. Oliverson wins it, and we are underway inside the Pentagon. A great crowd on hand, as we expected, with two in-state teams going head-to-head.
Yeah, this rivalry between these two schools dates back many, many years, and it is as fierce as it comes.
Rogers with it. Oliverson rotates it over to Beneke. Just 5 on the shot clock here on the opening possession. Philippi's going to let it fly. Off the front iron, no good. Duffy with the rebound. We're going to be saying that a lot today, I have a feeling. 8 rebounds per game for the senior. Strong take here on the baseline. CJ Adamson spins around and gets the first 2 of the game.
And there, Augustana was able to get Northern State's bigs away from the rim and get a paint point right away.
Rogers gives it back to Philippi.
You will see this a lot out of Northern State. Pull it out, set it up, a lot of set plays.
Rogers from the top of the key, and that one didn't draw anything. Well, let's take a look at our keys to the game for this matchup, brought to you by BillionAuto.com. What do you have for us, Mr. Newitt?
Well, Northern State is great at patrolling the paint. They're 5th in the country in block shots. It's really tough to get points at the rim against them. And Augustana, I think defensively, they want to ramp up the pressure. They want to force turnovers. They did not do that the first time these two teams played. Let's see if they can do it today.
Augustana coming off a couple of wins last week and beat Southwest Minnesota State and USF convincingly in those contests. They have the 2-0 lead here to start. Oliverson with it. Rotates it over Beneke, the Castlewood, South Dakota product. Flips it to Oliverson. What a nice feed and a nice cut. And Oliverson gets Northern State on the board.
Yeah, great job moving without the basketball there.
Oliverson named first team NSIC earlier this week. Ranks 13th in the NSIC in points per game, 5th in rebounds per game, 4th in blocks per game. Rogers picks up Addison, but nice cut there by Duffy. Denied, though. How about that block by Philippi?
Wow.
Gets it up quickly into the front court. Kicks it out. Beneke looking for someone to pass to. Duffy guarding Rogers. Philippi lost the handle. Oliverson regains it. Now 10 on the shot clock as Oliverson tries to float one in. No good.
Yeah, a lot of scrambles there. 50-50 balls. Who can come up with them?
Duffy working nicely in the paint. Blocked again, but a foul is going to be called on Hilgeman. And that'll send the South Division Player of the Year to the free throw line to attempt her first free throws of the game. 86% free throw shooter.
Well, Aislinn Duffy has had just an amazing season scoring the basketball. You mentioned the 16 points a game. That's 5th in the conference, and she's just been the go-to player for Augustana the entire year. So a lot of load on her game in, game out.
Ashton playing her final games in an Augustana uniform. Beneke sets the offense for the Wolves. Just 3 minutes in, 4-2 Augustana lead. Oliverson from deep.
Those are possessions. Augustana's going to consider that a win. They can force Northern State into taking jump shots like that.
Here's Cease. Rogers there, gets a hand in her face. Disrupts it enough to create a miss.
Now the key there for Northern State, though, is Rihanna Philippi getting in and getting that rebound as a guard.
She's already got a few here early. Duffy pulls that rebound down in between a pair of Wolves. Pump fakes for the three. She's going to take it to the lane and goes down hard. Rogers and Duffy with a big collision. Duffy's going to go back to the free throw line.
Now, this is the advantage Duffy has. She is terrific attacking, especially like that in transition. And Rogers not able to move her feet quick enough.
I'm talking with Katie Bork, assistant coach for Augustana, and I mean, just talking about Duffy's career, and she's just always been a pass-first player, and they had to work hard when she was younger just to want to score the ball and to want the ball. Her redshirt year, they yelled at her to score a lot when she was redshirting. You need to be aggressive because we see the talent, and you don't have to always be a pass-first player. Yet she's held on to that. She averages 4 assists per game.
Exactly.
Too.
That's what I was about to say. She still incorporates that into her game, but now the scoring has come along with it. That's what, really ultimately that earned her the Player of the Year in the South Division this year.
An incredible talent that these Augustana fans are going to miss. And right on cue, Duffy with the steal over to Odlin. Three-pointer on the way. Off the back iron, no good. Long rebound leaks out to Philippi. Philippi juking and jiving around Odlin. Swish.
Wow, that's a big-time shot by Philippi there.
The former freshman of the year in the NSIC North a couple of seasons ago. We go to Duffy on the block.
Wow, physical in the post.
C.J. Adamson, the freshman from Rochester, makes it a 9-4 lead here for the Vikings.
Augustana only hit 4 threes in the game they played earlier this year. And so those are big shots. They're going to need more than 4 today to get a win.
And so far, the offense clicking for both teams, I guess we could say. That one switched home by Hildeman. You'd have to think this pace probably favors the Vikings with what they can do offensively, and Northern State doesn't want to get into a shootout with this team.
I would agree 100%. The more up-tempo this is, the more possessions there are, that will favor Augustana ultimately.
Philippi goes inside to Oliverson off her fingertips, and it's going to go out of bounds. No, Odlin able to gather. Lauren Cease, the Avon, South Dakota native, hands it over to Jewett for 3, or not Jewett, Duffy for 3. And Duffy has gotten off to a really strong start here, Brad.
That's what you want to see from your best player in big games like this. But yes, she's already got 7 of the 12 points here for Augustana.
Beneke rotates it over to Philippi. 10 on the shot clock here for the Wolves. Underneath. No good there by Madeline Bragg. Rebounded well by Augustana, and the Vikings look to extend this 5-point lead. They go down in the post for the first time to Jewett. Another three on the way from Duffy. 10 points already for the Division Player of the Year in the NSIC South.
Well, Jewett drew the double team inside, and they brought the wrong person. You can't leave Duffy as the open offensive player on the three-point line. She made Northern State pay. And now trying to get set offensively here, and a lot of confusion by Northern State on what they want to do. Shot clock's down to 5.
Philby's going to just have to throw that one up. Rings around the rim, no good. Adamson quickly into the front court. That's Aislinn down there wrestling with the basketball and has it taken away by Oliverson. Oliverson coming off a career-high 34 points against Upper Iowa in that first-round win. Hildeman's going to earn a trip to the free throw line. So free throws coming up. Augustana has opened up a 15-7 lead. 10 points on the board already for Duffy. We'll take a break.
The NSIC on Midco Sports, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the exclusive orthopedic and sports medicine provider of the Vikings.
On your Egg Tegra scoreboard, 15-7, Augustana coming out guns a-blazing. Let's go to the sidelines. Darren Wallace, what do you have for us, Darren? 15-7 lead here for the Vikings. The free throw line, Jordan Hilgeman. Try to touch base with Darren here in a little bit.
Well, Jody, one of the things we've talked about is the pace of this game, right? And I think it has been a little bit more up-tempo. That's what Augustana would like. And Northern State, a team that, you know, when you think about the first game, it was 62-60 that they won. They had that pace exactly where they wanted it for the entire 40 minutes. Let's see if things change here after that first time out.
Hildeman goes 1 of 2 at the line. Checking in is Morgan Fiedler for the Wolves. Jewett over to Cease. Good battle down low between Duffy and Bragg. Now Bragg picks up Cease, who airballed it, but it's going to stay Vikings basketball. They got to get it away, though. Shot clock still running, and a good offensive board from Duffy. Underneath, Cease has it swatted away. Madeline Bragg with her 18th block of the season.
And that's what Northern State's strength is defensively. They give up very little at the rim.
#1 shot blocking team in the NSIC. They average 5 per game. Fiedler. Offense has been forced to be patient here for Northern State. Hildeman puts it up. Good offensive board, but taken away. And now we're getting a little bit physical as Phipps battling with Bragg, and a foul is going to be called on Madeline. The Aberdeen Roncalli product. Let's go over to Darren Wallace.
Hey guys, Brad, you mentioned pace of play. Augustana actually has the second best scoring margin of the NSIC at plus 14.9. The Vikings average 75.9 points per game, and they limit their opponents to just 61. Augie is 19-0 when they score more than 70, but they're just 5-4 when they fail to reach the 70-point mark. Something to look out for as this game goes on.
Well, that's kind of the watermark for Dave Krause's team, and that's been the key for Northern State to get the wins. They've been able to hold them under 70.
Exactly.
In the last 2 contests is the foul called here.
And so there's a couple of ways that Paula Kruger can do that with her team. One is just trying to limit some possessions, and you've seen that at times in this game where Northern State will take their time offensively, and that's just going to limit those possessions. But it's also about being really good defensively. And in this game, they've held Augustana to 31% shooting so far.
First free throw up and good from Philby, who was the hero when these teams met in the regular season. Look at that layup with 1.6 seconds left. to win it 62-60. Kenzie Wrench handling the basketball here. Into the game for the first time. Duffy on the block against Rogers. Oh boy, I thought Rogers was going to get a hand on it. Instead, Duffy converts up to 12 points now.
I think Duffy surprised her. I think Rogers thought she might kick it out, and Duffy made a really quick move.
Here comes Alverson. Both teams attacking on the interior here the last couple of possessions. Northern with nothing to show for there on that attempt. Phipps with Alverson draped all over her. They fired out to Wrench for the three.
Well, inside, outside, a pass for a three. There's no better look for a three-point shooting team than that.
Augustana 4 of 8 from outside to start. That's a big reason why they are up 10 right now. And Wrench called for the foul on the other end. She's trying to pickpocket the Wolves. She's been pretty good at that. 85 steals on the season. Ranked second in steals per game in the conference after finishing first in that category a year ago.
Yeah, that is her role on this team. She's actually top 10 in the country at doing that, so that's not going to let up.
You saw one of the best in that stat last night, Joey Batt. Phenomenal defender for Minnesota State. They got that win. Rogers underneath off the glass and in, and Northern State needed that one. They get it down to 8. Horn sounds. Augustana with a 20-12 lead behind the 12-point first quarter from Aislinn Duffy, your South Division Player of the Year. So after one on our Egtegra scoreboard, 20-12 Vikings here in the Sanford Pentagon.
The NSIC on Midcoast Sports, presented by American Bank and Trust, where what if meets why not.
Well, Northern State has won the last 2 meetings between these 2 teams, but they trail by 8 points here as we get ready for the start of the second. Let's hear from Paula Kruger in the Northern State huddle.
You guys drew straws and found out you made the conference tournament. You were like, yes, I get Paula Kruger. That's fantastic, huh? Go to work, Maddie Blue! Spread them out! Spread them out! Hey! Box 2! Box 2! Box 2! Box 2! Box 2!
I don't know if Paula would survive as a play-by-play person. Her voice would be shot by game 2 of the NSIC tournament, but she's a heck of a coach, and she's got that coaching voice down. A big block by Rogers. That was entertaining stuff, though, and obviously she's urging her team on. She senses that this is especially going to be a pivotal start here in the second quarter.
I do think so. And Northern State has done a good job doing what they do best, guarding the paint. But Augustana got them from the three-point line in that first quarter. Can Northern State do a better job there?
Yeah, they had 4 threes in that first quarter. They had 4 threes in the entire game in that first meeting. Ogden takes the board. Cease.
Excuse me, dude. You just look at the scoring pace Augie's on right now, and it is right where they want it to be.
All right, on pace for 80 points. Ended up shooting 6 of 15 from the field in that first quarter. Augustana just 4 of 13. Fans making some noise, along with the cheerleaders that are here. Rogers. And she stepped out of bounds there on the baseline.
Yeah, just ran out of real estate. And Aislinn Duffy did a really nice job just sealing her off down there, and sure enough, that left foot steps on the baseline.
Rogers in that first meeting against Augustana, 15 points to lead the team, 6 rebounds in that victory at Wax Arena. Adamson looking for Duffy. Duffy has been the go-to player in this game, no surprise. That time, good battle in the post. Rogers gets the victory.
I think on this end, Northern State's got to get their post players going. Oliverson and Rogers combined right now, just 4 points. Those two average 27 a game. You put their stats together.
Right now, combined just 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting between Oliver, Sin, and Rogers. Both teams starting cold here to start the second. 0 for 8 combined from the field.
I'll say this about Northern State. Even though they're down, they're going to be methodical and continue with their game plan. I mean, they trailed Augustana 13 points in the fourth quarter in the last game and still came back and won. And they can easily do that here in this one.
This would help. Rogers with an opportunity for a three-point play. Nice footwork in the post.
And they get a foul on Augustana's best player. Duffy picking up that one.
That's what they call a double whammy in the biz, right? Anytime you can get one of the top players in a foul and capitalize on an and one plays, good news. That dwindles the lead to 5.
A lot of people don't think about that in the game of basketball, right? I mean, okay, you've got a player in Duffy who's really having a great offensive game. How do you slow her down? Well, one of the ways is get her in foul trouble, right? Get her off the floor, and maybe Northern State can do that.
Let's take another look here. Poked away by Rihanna Philippi. Fans wanted a foul call.
Yeah, that was a close one. But honestly, I think as you see these tournament games, and we saw this yesterday, the officials are going to let a little bit more go in the physicality department in these games.
Boy, Duffy hits that 99 times out of 100, but
yep,
misses that one. An opportunity there, but taken away by Duffy.
Yeah, great job there, just anticipating that pass. Too much air under it, and Duffy swipes it away.
Adamson fakes the pass. Duffy with the follow-up on the rebound. Augustana still with the basketball. Jewett. I think Beneke might have gotten a finger on that one. It's going to go to Northern State.
I'm not sure she did. I think Jewett was in a hurry to get it off and certainly left it well short. And Jewett, who's been playing terrific basketball, shooting it of late, yet to score in this game.
Yeah, 0-3 for Michaela here to start.
Nice ball screen there just to get the offense started there by Oliverson.
Beneke will fire away from long distance. Three-point shooting has been a struggle here for Northern State early. Cease. The shooting period has been a struggle here in the second for both these teams.
Augustana 0 for 10 to start this second quarter. And Northern State's been able to chip a little bit off of this thing. 3 points so far.
Beneke looking for Philippi, tipped away by Cease on the defensive end. Lauren named an NSIC first teamer. Ranks 12th in the conference in scoring.
I mean, you look here for Augustana, and yeah, I mean, Duffy's having a great game, but Cease and Jewett, neither one of them have scored yet for the Vikings. Those are their second and third leading scorers on this team.
That's why they haven't been able to spread a gap, and Northern State closing that gap. Philippi with the 3. She's up to 7 to pace the Wolves.
Now Augustana went underneath it, and she made him pay.
Duffy against Rogers. Give it to Jewett. Jewett off the glass. She'll go to the free throw line. Nearly had an opportunity to three-point play. That one didn't roll home, though, for Michaela.
So how do you score in the post against a team that's got great shot blockers? Well, the people that those shot blockers are guarding are on the perimeter, and Augustana's posting other players like Jewett there who had a size advantage and try to get them touches. Jody, just the fact that Michaela Jewett's on this floor playing is a huge testament. She's been through 2 knee surgeries and just had a really difficult start to her college career and has had a long road back. And it's been great to see her have such a remarkable season this year.
Yeah, even last year, talking with Katie Bork, the assistant coach, she wasn't really ready to go until November. December wasn't really game shape ready. So going into this year, it's like she finally had a full off season under her belt, and they love her rebounding. She can shoot it well. She's doing a good job of getting in the post, too. He has confidence in that leg now as well. That's a key issue, a mental block that a lot of players that go through that have to get through. Alverson stepped on the line in a backcourt violation. It'll give it back to the Vikings.
Northern State, one of the best teams in the NSIC, and in fact the best team in the country when it comes to taking care of it. Only 11 turnovers a game. You'll very rarely see them make a mistake like that.
5th turnover for Northern State. Augustana doing a nice job of taking care of the basketball so far. Just 1 turnover for the Vikings. Duffy. Good first quarter for Aislinn, but this whole offense is really quieted down here in the second.
Yes, Augustana has 2 points this quarter, and they are from the free throw line.
Here comes Cease. Stops Jewett. That one's from way back. Duffy with the offensive rebound, and the score, and she'll go to the line for a chance at a 3-point play. Duffy will have a chance to get to 15 points when we return on Midcoast Sports. The Vikings and the Wolves in the NSIC quarterfinals on Midcoast Sports.
The NSIC on Midcoast Sports, presented by Vance Thompson Vision. Clear answers about clear vision. And by Pioneer, an American seed brand since 1926.
Both offenses a little cold here to start the second quarter. Let's take a look at our NSIC trivia question. Augustana head coach Dave Krauth, retiring, of course, after 34 seasons. How many of those seasons did Augie finish above 500? Brad, we'll find out the answer in the second half. I don't think there are many below 500, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there were. Dave Krauth's record speaks for itself, and his consistency is probably the most important and most impressive a part of his career. Coaching his last year for this Augustana team. He took over as head coach in 1989 of this program. And
I was a toddler at the time. Not sure what I was doing. Probably watching cartoons and driving my parents crazy. If I know what that means. Fiedler lays it up and in her first 2 points of the game, and the lead cut down to 5. And Northern State has been really good on this end, holding Augustana to 1 of 13 from the field in the second. Have they done anything different, Brad?
I think they're pressuring the three-point shot better, and Augustana has taken some shots that have not been good ones.
I think shot selection is weighed into that too.
Absolutely.
Augustana. Cease. Deep 3. And rebounded by Philippi. So work it into the front court. Give it to Alverson. Nice pass. Nice finish from Alverson.
Northern State will not push tempo very often, but when they do, they catch you by surprise, and they got an easy one that time.
Well, Darren Wallace poking his head into that Northern State huddle last time out. Darren, what'd you hear?
Hey guys, I was just in the Northern State huddle in that last timeout. Coach Kruger was emphasizing to her team that they're just fine. They're here for a reason. She emphasized keeping Augustana off the offensive glass, but more importantly, staying calm and trusting that shots are going to start falling.
Well, thank you, Darren. And the shots have started to fall here a little bit. Alverson had that nice layup off the good pass. Pilgrim skies. Good offensive rebound from Bragg, and up and in. Northern State fan base starting to make some noise here as the lead back down to 3.
Well, the key has been this side. They've held Augustana to just 7 points this second quarter after giving up 20. And Augustana needs to get the ball moving. It's sticking a lot right now. This is an easy team to guard right now, the way they're playing.
Phipps just scored last time down, and that time miscommunication. She threw it right out of bounds. And Dave Krauth kind of looking at his young ladies and telling them to wake up a little bit.
And Paula Kruger's team, they feed off of this, right? So they're a team that when they get defensive stops, it energizes them big time.
Here's Fiedler with it. Just had her first 2 of the game. Inside to Bragg, who's been impressive here to start. And the lead is trimmed to 1.
Yeah, it felt like Duffy there did not want to pick up her second. That was pretty easy post up.
Cease aggressive on the take, off the glass and in.
Her first bucket of the day. She had missed her first 6 shots.
They'd love to see her get going. Averages 15 points per game. 3 from Fiedler, but an offensive foul called away from the ball. That's going to go against Bragg, who's just shown that tenacity. Has 3 rebounds, a block. But picks up the foul there.
Yeah, trying to set that high ball screen, and you can't move. She started sliding to the rim, and that's where she picked that up.
Bragg, a freshman that, I mean, with her size, 6'2", averaging 5 points, 3 rebounds per game, but I think a bright future ahead for the young lady who's playing for her hometown team. Duffy in the post, working against Rogers. A W for Duffy on that possession.
And I like what Duffy's doing when Rogers is matched up on her. Again, Rogers, the best shot blocker in the NSIC, but Duffy's going quick at her, not really giving her time to react.
Izzy Moore chasing around Fiedler. That one poked away by Jewett, right in the face of Alverson, and created the miss. And oh, how about that from her rear end? Rogers with an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Lori Rogers getting after some old glass, and this foul's going against Duffy. It's going to be her second. And it has been a battle in there all game long on the boards.
Free throw won't go, so it remains a 3-point game. But when you have 2 players as aggressive as Rogers and Duffy in the post, they're going to be fighting for a lot of boards in this game. Alverson cleans up the glass off the Moore miss. Philippi. No breaks on that possession. Philippi capitalizes.
She has picked her moments in transition and has done it well.
C's trying to match her. Earns a trip to the free throw line. Quiets the crowd a little bit of Northern State. 1-point game here, under a minute to play in the second quarter. There's another look at Cease attacking. I think Lauren was just finding that she was kind of struggling from shooting and finding her spots on the floor, and decided to just start attacking. It's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, that's how she wants to play. She loves the transition game. But in this second quarter, I mean, Augustana's had 19 shot attempts. There's been plenty of possessions for them. The tempo is still where they want it, but just 4 of 19 from the field. And there, a couple of crucial misses at the strike.
And Cease, an 81% free throw shooter, one of the best in the NSIC, misses both. So Northern State with a chance to take the lead here. The foul, that's going to go against Jewett. Her second foul. So now you're sitting there with Duffy and Jewett, both with 2 fouls.
Yeah, they've left Duffy out there for a little while, but then took her out as well. But now I think just protecting, before the half is really important for both those players.
Gilderman off the inbounds, airmails it. About 2 seconds separate the game clock and the shot clock here.
Yeah, they're going to let C's try to create here, and you want to run this down. Don't give Northern State the ball back.
Fiedler trying to reach in and strip it away from Cease. They work it down to 10. Cease with a little isolation play here against Fiedler. Fiedler sticking with her. Off the miss, Alverson battle for the rebound. Still 1.6 on the clock, and it's going to be Vikings basketball here underneath the hoop. What's the inbound play here, Brad?
It's got to be quick. I think you got to throw it up. Adelaine's probably the best candidate here out there, number 45 in white.
Boy, they need to get it in here, and it's stripped away by Hildeman, and that is how the second period will end. A good one if you're a Northern State fan. They claw their way back into it, down 8 after 1, down 1 at halftime, 31-30. And Augustana's offense It's a little bit cold there in the second. 4 of 20 from the field. Darren Wallace standing by with the head coach of the Vikings, Dave Kraut. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey guys, I'm with Coach Kraft right now. Coach, the pace seems to be in your favor. You're crashing the offensive glass and having a lot of success there, but yet it's only a 1-point game at halftime. What needs to change in the second half to really open it up for you?
They hit a couple shots that kind of got them back, got a little flow and confidence their way, but they do crash, and with their size, we've not only given up inside shots, but then we picked up some tough fouls, and we've had a lot of opportunities around the basket that seemed like the ball slips out of our hand. A lot of it looks like it's nerves, and hopefully playing a half, we'll have gotten rid of some of those.
Yeah, Coach, do you feel like it's a little bit more of an emotional game? The atmosphere is great. There's a lot of fans in here from both sides. Anything that you feel you need to say to your team to kind of calm them down and get them in the right frame of mind maybe to continue in the second half?
Well, we just sort of, go through and look at those plays, like I mentioned, getting the body on, keeping their big kids away from right around the basket. And then just being able to handle yourself, and whether that means slow down a little bit and fake or whatever, just try to become productive.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, bet.
Guys.
Thank you, Darren, and thank you, Dave. Aislinn Duffy leading the way, leading the floor with 17 points, but nobody else on her team with more than 5. 9 points for Rihanna Philippi to lead Northern State. Halftime show next.
The NSIC on Midcoast Sports, presented by Dakota Iron. Visit DakotaIronEquipment.com. And by Nyberg's Ace, with 5 convenient locations.
Time now for the CU Mortgage Direct Halftime Show on Midcoast Sports.
We've got a good one here at the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls. We've got the 3 seed from the north going against the south seeds number 2. And Augustana has the 1-point lead at halftime. I'm Jason Andera for the CU Mortgage Direct Halftime Show, along with Emily Tesey, the head coach of Minnesota State. And let's talk a little bit, Emily, about, first of all, you guys look like no other team out there with your pressure. And I just am curious where that identity comes from. As a coach, at some point you have to say, this is our identity. And it had to somehow get in your DNA that's how you wanted to coach.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of morphed. I've always been an up-tempo type, style, but really it's probably been about maybe 5 years ago now. I think the year before Joey Batt actually came to our program was the first year we kind of started implementing this defense. And the unique thing about it is it transforms every year. It just continues to morph based on kind of, personnel and ways that we can be effective within it. And it's very different now than it was at the beginning of the year. And
right.
So that's a tribute to the players. They kind of take it and kind of go with it.
Well, it's very impressive to watch, but over a tournament like this, the legs have to be an issue. You have to try to give them rest, and when you have a tough game right off the bat like you did last night, it doesn't do you any favors as far as rest, but it was a game where you guys really showed what you can do going on runs.
Yeah, I think in some ways the Friday, Saturday games, through the entire season, we're fairly prepared for being able to put those two together. We have a lot of depth on our team, and that's something that plays to our advantage too. We had Joey played 30 minutes for us last night, but nobody else was up that 26 minutes a game or so. So it's an intense style, but we definitely play our depth and try to use that to our advantage as well.
You guys are really good at going after those 50-50 balls. The rebounding sometimes didn't carry them your way. Sometimes it does. Last night that was an issue because that's the way UMary plays too.
Yeah, it was, and we talked a lot about that going into this weekend. That we've got to be a disciplined rebounding team, and the rebounding margin doesn't always tell the true tale of the game because we get so many more shots than our opponents do. So usually they're going to have more rebounds than us just based on the defensive rebounding numbers, but we just really didn't do a great job, controlling their offensive rebound opportunities last night in the first half for sure.
But you got the W. You're on to the semifinals. You're going to face either Southwest, Minnesota State, or St. Cloud State, a couple of very different teams. It's kind of hard to figure out what you guys have to do to get ready.
Yeah, I think we see that a lot. Just between the differing styles between the North Division and the South Division.
Right.
You know, so you know, we're prepared for both. You know, I think again because of our style being an up tempo full court style, it takes a lot of pressure off. We don't have to prepare for everything that we would see from every opponent. So certain tweaks within our full court pressure, certain tweaks within maybe some of the half court focus points. But yeah, both teams are really talented teams, and both bring a very different, you know, offensive punch. So yeah, we're excited to watch the game today, and then go into our afternoon practice today, ready to focus in on who we're going to be able to take on Monday.
Best of luck.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We're at the half of the Northern State and Augustana game. Augustana up by 1. We'll be back with highlights, stats, and shot charts coming up right after this. For the CU Mortgage Direct halftime show. Jason Andera alongside Jordan Dalton, and we've had a tale of 2 quarters.
Absolutely. Again, Augie came out really hot in that first quarter, you know, 20-12, where it's knocking down a couple three-pointers. And then in the second quarter, that defense of Northern State really started to suffocate them, force Augie into some tough shots, and they were able to have an 18-11 quarter of their own. So, like you said, great back and forth action from 2 great teams.
Let's take a look at our first half highlights brought to you by Ken Superfair Foods. Let's get started with Aislinn Duffy, because she got it started. She came out on fire.
Everywhere, right? She knocked down a couple threes earlier, but she really did her damage inside of the paint. Again, also in addition to her 17 points, had 11 rebounds. She did a great job of moving without the basketball. Again, they did a great job of setting some cross screens for her, freeing her up, because Rogers is a tough one-on-one defender down there. She catches it, goes quick over that left shoulder. But she was really the entire offense for Augustana.
And how about Rihanna Philippi? Showing what she could do. That shot right there kind of defines what kind of athlete she is.
Yeah, we talked about it. They don't push the ball very often in transition, but when they do, they pick their spots very, very smartly, right? And she is one of the smartest players that you'll see, has a great handle to the basketball, and really gets to whatever spot on the court that she wants to.
Philippi led the Wolves with 9 in that first half, but it was Lori Rogers who came up big, and look at this. Control underneath the hoop, the and one.
Just great footwork. We talked about her prowess on the defensive side of the basketball with her block shots and her ability to protect the paint. She did a great job of making her presence felt on the offensive side. Like I said, 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 block in that first half.
Some room for improvement here in the field goal percentage.
Absolutely. For Augustana, they just got to settle down, right? 29% from the field. Took a lot of quick, unforced turnovers, a lot of quick early shots in the shot clock that were just kind of ill-advised. And if you're Northern State, this is kind of the game they want, right? They want to play the game in the 60s. They're going to start shooting the ball a little bit better. I thought they got some great shots in that first half, just didn't fall.
Pretty clean game, though. The turnovers, 6-3. It's been a lot of fun to watch. The atmosphere has been incredible. That'll do it for our halftime show, except for one more segment that we have coming up right after this. Welcome back to the halftime show. Let's take a look at our Pioneer performance chart. We'll start with Rihanna Philippi.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Point guard overall, but she can shoot.
Absolutely, she did a great job. You'll hear us say the term 3-level scorers a lot, right? We saw her take the ball all the way to the rack to score there. She was able to pull up in transition for that 12 to 15-foot jump shot. And then she can also hit the ball, hit the shot from deep, too. So great 3-level scorer, and she was really the offensive push that they needed in that first half.
And point guards aren't just passers either. 6 rebounds for Rihanna. How about Aislinn Duffy? Just took over, and we heard the guys talk about how she needed to shoot more and not just be pass first. She's really taking that to a level here.
Yeah, she did a great job. Again, they're setting a lot of cross screens, trying to get her on that left low block where she really likes to operate, because she can go over both shoulders. Obviously showing her ability to knock down three-pointers with 2 or 3 from the three-point line there. But she was really all they had. Again, we joked she had 11 rebounds because he had a lot of missed shots, opportunities to get rebounds. But she was really a stud in that first half.
Time to send it back to Jody and Brad for the second half action between Augustana and Northern State.
Welcome back to Heritage Court inside the Sanford Pentagon. Get the second half underway here. Augustana leads at 31-30 at the break. Tight game as we expected this one would be. Darren Wallace was able to catch up with Northern State head coach Paula Kruger during halftime. Darren, what'd she say?
Hey guys, I caught up with Coach Kruger at halftime. She said that this is just a game between two teams that just want it really, really badly. I also asked her about her thoughts about holding Augustana, who leads the NSIC and three-point percentage to just 28%. She said she's proud of their defense and hopes that offensively they can get Kaylee Oliverson a lot more involved.
Wow, right on cue, Darren. Thank you for that. And Oliverson converts and gives Northern the lead here early on, 32-31, and Oliverson 12 straight games with 10-plus points, but she was held to just 4 in that first half.
Yeah, so a great way to get her going. They run a set play. Now they're going to feed her again in the low post.
Paula Kruger was not lying to Darren.
Yeah. Well, she's coming off a 34-point game. I mean, the reason Northern State's here is what she did in their game on campus in this first round of the tournament on Wednesday.
Yeah, career high 34 against Upper Iowa in that victory in Aberdeen. First lead of the game for Northern State. They trailed by as much as 10 late in the first quarter. Oliverson. They rotate around, they get it to her in the post, going up against Odlin, fade away. She hits the deck. Hard, slow to get up off the miss. Adamson, over to Jewett, 3 on the way from Duffy. Was looking for her 20th point of the game, and quietly Duffy was able to rack up a double-double in the first half.
Yeah.
She leads the NSIC in that category. Has 12 double-doubles now in the season. She also has the NSIC's only triple-double in the regular season. One of just 12 players to do that in Division II this year.
Well, her team needs to continue to ride her offensive shooting. Cooled off significantly in that second quarter, and that was a great look there from the top of the key. Just couldn't get it to crawl in.
Beneke with it, the Nebraska Kearney transfer. Remember, Duffy and Jewett both had 2 fouls in that first half. Nice job from Duffy to disrupt things on the Beneke attempt. Ball in the corner to Adamson. Cross-court pass over to Cease. Philippi riding her hip. Goes for the block, and instead it's going to create a 3-point play opportunity for Cease. We've had a lot of these and one plays in this game.
This is a great matchup. We probably haven't highlighted it enough in this game between Lauren Cease and Rihanna Philippi. I mean, 2 terrific guards, and they've been matched up on each other really for most of the game.
Philippi is, I mean, just one of those players that does it all. 11 points per game, about 5 rebounds per game, about 3.5 assists per game, also 59 steals on the season.
Here
those
they
two
are.
going at it in the post.
They're in the low post right now.
Couple of South Dakota natives, and this time the young lady from Lennox splashes home a 3. Here comes Cease, right back to her.
They're hearing us talking over here.
I think so. Philippi rising up for the block attempt, and Cease is going to go back to the free throw line.
Now, Cease had a really tough first half. I mean, she only made 1 field goal out of 9, and she's a much better player than that. She's been one of their leading scorers throughout her career, and the ball's in her hands a lot. She creates a lot for Augustana offensively.
And expanding a little bit on Philippi, Paula Kruger said after the game she doesn't ask about her points or anything, but she immediately tries to grab a box score, and she checks her assist to turnover right away. That's very important to her. One of the reasons that she's become such a great leader for this group. Boy, Cease kind of taking over the game here to start the third. Gets the layup to go. A couple of free throw misses, though. She has been really struggling from the free throw line tonight, but capitalizes still on that possession. Make it a 36-35 lead, but Hildeman gives the lead right back to the Wolves.
And there, Jewett did not want to pick up her 3rd foul. Didn't really challenge that shot much at the rim. Boy, I tell you, this game is physical to begin with in the first half. It's getting even more physical here to start this third quarter.
Aislinn showing off the range. She is a 46% three-point shooter. She doesn't shoot a lot of them.
You're right.
But she hits from deep there.
Okay, the battle's inside. I mean, there's a lot of physicality right now between these two teams.
Philippi gives it to Oliverson. Baseline jumper. And Oliverson, we'll see if she can start to heat up here in the third. 4 quick points to start the half.
Well, her ability to do that's what's kind of made her a next-level scorer for Northern State.
Both offenses starting to connect as Aislinn has back-to-back buckets for Augustana.
Well, Augustana only made 4 shots the entire second quarter. They've already hit 4 here to start this third, so a little bit more back on track for them.
Apparently, it's only the odd quarters where these teams can hit shots. They were really cold to start the second quarter. I think both of them missed their first 10 field goals or something like that.
It was a big margin there, yeah.
Vikings will see if they continue to feed Aislinn, who's had the hot hand here. Last couple of possessions has hit some shots. Cease hustles back to gather that basketball. Cease versus Philippi. It's been entertaining. 10 seconds now on the shot clock. Try to get it into the post for Duffy. Duffy out to Aislinn, swinging around. Cease won't go. Oliverson collects the board.
That was really well defended by Northern State because they brought the double team that time on Duffy in the post, forced her to give it up, and there really wasn't enough time on the shot clock then for them to get a good look.
Oliverson again. Now 6 points here in the third, and she's up to double figures.
Only had 4 in that first half. She has really lit a spark here offensively.
Good pace here to start the third. Both offenses shooting it over 50%.
Well, Northern State, Augustana, they don't really like each other. There's a lot of rivalry here. This game is super physical. And I just got the feeling this thing's coming down to the wire. It's tied.
The NSIC on Midco Sports, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the exclusive orthopedic and sports medicine provider of the Vikings.
On your Egg Tegra scoreboard, we are knotted at 41 apiece. These fans being treated to a good one, even the babies, even if they're sleeping. They're at least maybe listening to the crowd roar. Oh, this Northern State Wolves team relies a lot on consistent Kaylee. Kaylee Oliverson last year, 15 points, 7 rebounds per game, doing the same this year. Her second straight All-NSIC first-team selection. One of the more dynamic players in this conference.
Well, I tell you this, since Northern State lost at USF, that was on January 13th, probably the worst loss maybe of the season that Northern State had. That was very disappointing for them. Kaylee Oliverson's been averaging 20 points a game and 11 rebounds. So she kicked it into another gear down the home stretch for this Northern State squad. And we've already chronicled this, but I mean, in their last game, 34 points, 17 rebounds. And I tell you, her second half here, she has looked the part of that. And her team's done a good job getting her the ball in places where she can score. And as a result, I mean, Northern State's hit 5 of 9 shots here to start this third quarter.
She's been good. There was a play under review. Aislinn, they were trying to make sure that if it was a 2 or a 3.
That looks definitely to be a 3. It's the white line there, not the furthest blue one. A lot of lines down there on that baseline, though.
And like you said, it kind of plays with the minds of the players.
Yeah, I do think so. I think they, especially at the top of the key, I think they see that further NBA line, and spacing gets a little out of whack at times in these games.
Duffy at the free throw line. 7 of 7 now at the charity stripe. Up 20 points for the senior. And a 2-point lead here for Northern State. Alverson, another 3 on the way. Duffy with the board. She might try for a 20-20 type tonight.
I was going to say, she's got 14 of them right now.
Wrench, quiet in the half. Duffy converts again down low. That was just too easy.
Yeah, they got the switch they needed, and Philippi was matched up on her, had to try to front. Just didn't get a hand on the ball.
Alverson against Jewett. Jewett going to get called for a 3rd foul. She disagrees. Let's go over to Darren Wallace, who poked his head in the Augustana huddle last time out.
Hey guys, I was just in the Augustana huddle during that last timeout. Coach Kraft was emphasizing defensive stops and securing rebounds. Obviously, Northern State is looking to get more aggressive on the offensive glass, so Kraft said securing rebounds and securing defensive stops is going to be the key, and being able to push offensively whenever they can.
Imagine that, Dave Kraft in his 34th year, the fundamentals of rebounding.
Yeah. Hey, it tips a lot of games, and it's important for this team to rebound for Augustana because of the second point, getting out and running. And if they can get some transition buckets in this game, that'll help open things up for them offensively. It is tough to score in the half court against this Northern State D.
Phipps able to pull it out there, though. Abby Phipps, the Harrisburg product. She took a huge jump over the summer.
Yeah. Say she's really played well down the stretch too for this team.
That one well short off the hands of Fiedler. Augustana with a chance to grow its lead here, up 4. It started out well here in the 3rd. Hildeman over to the scorer's table, check in next break. Well, missed by Wrench, but she tries to chase down her own rebound, and it'll stay Augustana basketball here.
Yeah, that's the 9th offensive rebound for Augustana. And that's been a huge thing for them in this game, in a game where they've only shot 35%, but they've gotten themselves enough second chances here to build this slim lead.
Cease, ball in her hands, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for Lauren. And a foul away from the ball. I think that's going to be on Abby Phipps. Her first foul. Team second. Northern State with 4 team fouls here. And in a game as tight as this one, all those little things where you throw away a possession and come back to bite you.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of turnovers, just 10 combined between these two teams, but every one of them magnifies.
Hildeman working against Cease. A really nice play from Jordan Hildeman. Cease flying, and she's swatted away by one of the top shot blockers in the country, Rogers, with her second of the game.
Yeah, those are just huge plays. I mean, that's erasing 2 points off the board.
Philippi bounces high, no good, and another board for Duffy. Here comes Phipps. Trying to be aggressive, was tied up for a moment by Philippi. Gonna blow the whistle and call the foul. It's gonna go against Hildeman. So you get a look at Dave Kraft. He said, we've been talking about, he's gonna hang it up. What's he gonna do after, Brad?
Told me he wants to do a little bit more hunting, and I mean, if you're a hunter and a basketball coach, those two probably are not good combinations, just based on seasons a lot of times. So He's certainly earned the right to go enjoy life here whenever this season comes to an end. But I can tell you, he loves this group. He does not want this season to come to an end. And you know, even if they don't win this tournament, they're going to be playing in the NCAA Central region. I mean, they're ranked 5th in that right now. So this is not going to be the end of the road for them.
Well, he might be hunting pheasants and ducks next year, but right now he's lining up his crosshairs for a NSIC tournament title. We'll see if he can get it. He's got to get through this one first. His team up 4 points with a minute left in the third. Hildeman trying from outside. Paula Kruger jumping up there. We're on the sidelines. Just a fun coach to watch. I mean, we had the mic'd up segment earlier, but she is energy, energy, energy.
Absolutely. And, you know, her team feeds off of that. I mean, you've got to kind of coach that way if you want your players to buy into being an elite defensive team, and Northern State's done that.
Paula, former Northern State player, was the head coach at Colorado Mines from 2003 to 2012. And here her team turns it over, trailing by 4. Now they'll need to go to work on the defensive end here to close out the third period. Phipps will take it off the dribble, scores!
And Augustana has just tried to isolate matchups up top with their guards in this third quarter and get downhill, and it's worked.
How about 1 second separates the shot clock and game clock. Couple of screeners out there. Rogers and Oliverson as you get a great look into the eyes of Rihanna Philippi. Philippi against Aislinn, off the glass, no good. Last second heave by Duffy. I don't think she needed to fire it so early. She's kind of got her hand over her mouth. Eyes just shot to the sky, and you see the look on Duffy. He's like, oh, I might not have needed to let it go that soon.
It almost worked out. If she had just put a little more air under it, Phipps could have maybe caught it as a pass.
Oliverson will just hold it. And we will head to the fourth with a 6-point lead for the Vikings. Duffy shaking her head, but she's been great in this one. 21 points, 15 boards for the senior. We'll be back for the fourth after this.
The NSIC on Midcoast Sports, presented by American Bank and Trust, where what if meets why not. The NSIC on Midcoast Sports, presented by Vance Thompson Vision. Clear answers about clear vision. And by Pioneer, an American seed brand since 1926.
Well, take a look at the line score. Augustana scored 20 in the first, 11 in the second, 20 in the third. This has been interesting. We'll see what happens here in the fourth, Brad.
I think that is going to be the key. Can Augustana put together another good offensive quarter? If they do, I think they're going to come out of here with a win. But that was the thing. When these teams met in Aberdeen back on January 6th, Northern State was able to lock them down in the fourth quarter and get a 2-point victory.
Augustana shot 7 of 13 in that third. Getting up for 54%. Philippi pulls down another rebound. Philippi, her 7th board of the game. She's closing in on a double-double with 12 points already.
From the guard spot, she's been their leading rebounder today.
They go down low to Oliverson against Aislinn. Fade away from the baseline, and that is what makes Oliverson a next-level player.
Yeah, she's 6'4". There is no defense for that in the NSIC. She can rise up and shoot over anyone.
Cease, rough shooting night, 3 of 13 from the field. But she's been doing some other things on the defensive end, has 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Aislinn takes it to the rack. 7 points for Jennifer.
Yeah, quietly, she's had a very good game, and she had 12 points the last time these two teams met.
Cease versus Philippi this time. Cease wins the battle as Philippi goes hard into the stanchion there. She's a tough player, though. She's right back down the floor. Aislinn! Another quick 5, just like how she started the third. And a timeout called by Paula Kruger. sensing momentum really shifting. A 9-point lead for the Vikings. Break on the floor. We'll take a break as well. Jennifer Odlin heating up here inside the Pentagon. Taking a look at our Sanford Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Injury Report. Spotlight Kelsey Willems from Augustana. Tore ACL in practice, had surgery back on December 14th for an ACL and meniscus tear. She's one of those players that's really, really good in practice. She hasn't really seen any time on the floor in a game action, but one of those players that's working hard in practice is going to be an impact player somewhere on down the line, they hope, for the Vikings. But right now, just being a leader off the bench, the Chaska, Minnesota native. All right, Augustana is open up a 9-point lead. Northern State needing some buckets here so it doesn't slip away too far if you're a Wolves fan. There are a lot of them here inside the Sanford Pentagon, and they come up empty on this possession. Rebounded by Duffy.
And well defended there by Augustana to not foul on that drive. I'll tell you what, though, Northern State's got the ability. We've seen it in this game at stretches to really lock down defensively, and they're going to need to do that to get back in this.
Turnaround from Jewett in the lead is double digits at 11.
Her first made bucket of this game. She was 0 for 6 before that.
It taken away on the other end. Chance to really open up this game for the Vikings and get their head coach assure them another game in the semifinal round. Take another look back at this block by the Vikings. Odlin.
Augustana doing just a good job on the last two possessions, not fouling on those drives, forcing tough shots. And Jody, I agree with you. This is a key tipping point, maybe a key possession in this game for Northern State defensively. Down 11 right now.
Big three on the way from Jewett. And she hits, and that'll get the Viking bench rowdy on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's one of those dagger threes. Her first three of the game for a player that makes more threes than anyone else on this Vikings team.
And now a chance for an answer on the other end. Oliverson with 2 plus the foul.
And that's a good play here by a veteran team as we see the kick out three. And Michaela Jewett, who is a terrific three-point shooter, nails that one there.
And Oliverson now up to 17 points. Now can they get some stops defensively? That'll help. No, it's going to be a late whistle here. Foul's going to be called. Philippi flips the ball over to the official in frustration. Got to be careful.
I think it was a good call, but you're right. It was late, and that's always the thing that'll kind of irritate the players and the coaches a little bit on the team that's drawing that foul.
Augustana has come out firing here in the fourth. Made 4 of their first 5 field goal attempts, including 2 of 2 from beyond the arc, where they got a little bit cold after a good start in the first period when they were 4 of 8. Duffy on the block against Rogers. Rips her arms through, and the South Division Player of the Year is delivering on the big stage here in the NSIC tournament.
And that's saying a lot. She's had to go against one of the premier post defenders in the country and is putting together a terrific game.
Oliverson can't answer on the other end. Odlin rolls down to the floor. Looks like she's okay.
And Northern State's going to have to start ramping up even more pressure, I think, on the perimeter. Can they force some turnovers and give themselves a chance? This is exactly where they were in the game in Aberdeen. They were down 13 with 6 to go, and they did find a way to win that one.
And the tough part here is a foul called on the floor for Northern State. Is you're just not really a three-point shooting team. You make 3.9 per game. That's 16th in the NSIC and 13th in three-point percentage. So it's not really part of their game, but Paul Kruger's going to have to to get the three-point shot going here. They want any chance of coming back, and now it's really going to be a tall order as Michaela Jewett is going to the line for another opportunity at a three-point play. I think we're going to set a record for and ones today.
There's been plenty of them, and Michaela Jewett coming alive here for her team offensively in the fourth quarter. Augustana has already scored 14 points. And proud Papa Mike Jewett looking on. Long-time assistant basketball coach at South Dakota State, and actually was an assistant coach for Dave Krauth at Augustana when Dave Krauth took over this program in 1989.
And it's got to be stressful watching your daughter out there on the floor, and we spotlighted it earlier. Michaela's battled knee injuries, surgeries, but is at his full strength that she's going to get now and making a difference here in the NSIC quarterfinal round.
Augustana's now winning this second half, 35-22, and it's 15-7 here to start this fourth quarter. This has been just an offensive blitz that Northern State very rarely gives up these kind of runs, and unfortunately for the Wolves, they've got themselves in quite the hole now.
And Northern State just not able to buy a bucket here when they need it the most.
And they need to start taking some chances down here defensively. I know that's not typically who they are. They're more contained, protect the paint, make you take contested shots, but they've got to maybe take some chances and get some steals. There's one right there, got a hand on it.
Well, when I asked Paula Kruger about attempting the fewest threes, said it's not that we don't want to shoot, but she did point to Beneke and Hildeman as kind of being those players that can probably shoot from distance the best for her squad. So we'll see if those two get some opportunities. Beneke goes to the bench there as Northern State's on defense. I'm sure she won't be down there for long as Cease is going to get another opportunity at the free throw line, where she's kind of struggled. 1 of 5 at the free throw line. These are some big ones to just kind of finish this thing off here with 5 minutes left.
Yes, it's very strange to see her struggling like that. She's 80% plus on the year and gets there a lot. Shoots about 4 of these a game.
And Cease this time makes both of them. That has to feel good for the junior from Avon, South Dakota. Now up to 9 points on the afternoon. Philippi gets the 3 to go, and a timeout immediately called by Northern State. Breaking the action, 13-point lead for Northern State.
Yeah, Michaela Jewett has sparked Augustana to this fourth quarter outburst. They've already got 17 on the board. And the junior from Brookings doing it inside and out. Augustana trying to advance to the semifinals.
Well, revenge is sweet. Augustana lost to Northern State last year's NSIC first round, 76-66. Close to identical score in this one, but this time the Vikings on the winning end as they slap their sticker on the banner over there and get ready for a semifinal matchup against a very, very tough Minnesota Duluth team. Brad Newitt, Jody Norstead here to put a wrap on this thing here on Midcoast Sports. And when it came down to it, I mean, the star shined. Aislinn Duffy, 27 points, 18 rebounds, and she really helped kind of will this team to victory, especially when the other role players, whether it be Jewett or Cease, were kind of struggling early in the game.
Yeah, they had some ups and downs. Duffy was very consistent in this game, and you could hear there in her post-game interview, very confident she was not going to let this team, I think, lose to Northern State again, and they got the job done.
Let's take a look back at our highlights in the second half. Brought to you by Ken's Super Fair Foods, your hometown grocer. Kaylee Oliverson came alive there in that second half as well for Northern State. Ends up with 17 points, 5 rebounds for Northern State.
Yeah, I thought she really came alive in the second half, and they got her going offensively. You can see she is really difficult to stop in the low post with her 6'4" size, and just did a terrific job scoring the basketball down there. and helped Northern State really stay in this game, even though Augustana was really humming offensively.
Vikings were really good on her defensively, though. It took her 19 shots to get that 17. Jennifer Odlin just had a couple of spurts where she hit back-to-back buckets, and those were big momentum-changing sequences for the Vikings.
They really were. I thought her baskets were very timely in sparking them offensively. That three in particular, I thought, was a dagger one that really helped create some separation in this game.
Taking a look at the final stats in this contest. Again, the key one, the Vikings getting the win and getting over 70 points, which they've been so good when doing that. And 7 of 19 from outside. They win the rebounding advantage too, 41-31.
I really think that rebounding was the tipping point of this game. Augustana had 9 offensive boards. Those second chance points were enough to get them over the hump. That's something they didn't have in the first matchup. Really, a lot of the rest of the game was fairly evenly played. Augustana, I thought, just, you know, they really had, especially at the beginning of that fourth quarter, just the drive and the determination to put this thing on ice, and they did, and they never had to look back.
Augustana, after getting beat by the Wolves at the buzzer earlier in the season, they get revenge. They're on to the semifinals to play Minnesota Duluth. That'll do it for us down here courtside. For Brad Newitt and Darren Wallace, I'm Jody Norstead. Your final, once again, 78-67. Augustana wins it in our first of 4 quarterfinal games this afternoon. We'll go upstairs for the postgame show. Jason Andera, Jordan Dalton coming your way next on Midcoast Sports.